What if I told you toxic people don't have power over you? You do. The real problem isn't them. It's the space you give them in your life. And the longer you let them in, the more they drain your energy, manipulate your emotions, and steal your peace. I get it. Maybe it's a friend who always brings drama, a co-worker who thrives on conflict, a family member who constantly pushes your boundaries. You try to be patient, you try to be kind, but no matter what you do, they keep pulling you into their negativity. Here's the truth most people don't realize. You don't have to fix them. You just have to outsmart them. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. In this video, you'll learn 8 clever ways to handle toxic people, inspired by Stoic philosophy. You'll discover how to stay calm and unshakable no matter what they say or do. Set boundaries that actually work, without guilt or explanation. Free yourself from resentment and take back control of your emotions. By the end of this video, you won't just know how to deal with toxic people. You'll have the tools to stop them from affecting you ever again. And here's the best part. You don't need to argue. You don't need to fight. You just need to make small but powerful shifts in how you react. Stick around until the end, because the final strategy is the most important one. And it could change the way you handle difficult people forever. If you're ready to take back your peace, hit like and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom from Stoic teachings today. And now, let's get started. Number 1. The truth that changes everything. You might think the biggest problem with toxic people is their behavior, the way they manipulate, the way they drain your energy, the way they push your boundaries. But here's the truth that changes everything. Toxic people don't control you. Your reaction to them does. Think about it. The anger, the frustration, the stress you feel, it's not caused by them. It's caused by how much power you give them over your emotions. And the moment you realize that, you take back control. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let that sink in. You can't stop people from being toxic, but you can stop them from affecting you. Because no one, no friend, no co-worker, no family member can control your inner peace unless you let them. Here's an example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, late for an important meeting. A driver cuts you off. You honk, you fume, your heart races. But ask yourself, did that driver make you angry, or did you let yourself become angry? Now replace the driver with a toxic person. The same principle applies. Their words, their actions, they only have power if you react the way they want. If you stay calm, if you stay in control, they lose their ability to affect you. This doesn't mean you tolerate their behavior. It doesn't mean you let them walk all over you. It means you refuse to hand them the keys to your emotions. Toxic people want a reaction. They feed off your frustration, your defensiveness, your need to explain yourself. When you argue, when you engage, when you try to change them, you're giving them exactly what they want. So what do you do instead? You pause, you breathe, you remind yourself, I control my response. Seneca once wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of the pain toxic people cause isn't from what they say or do. It's from how much we replay their words in our minds. Overanalyze them. Let them live rent-free in our heads. But here's the good news. You can break that cycle. Starting today, when a toxic person tries to provoke you, try this. Do nothing. Don't argue. Don't explain. Just observe their behavior like a Stoic. Detached. Unmoved. Watch how quickly their power over you fades. Because when you stop reacting, you stop feeding their influence. And when you stop feeding their influence, you get your peace back. This is just the beginning. Now that you understand the mindset shift, let's talk about practical strategies. Because knowing how to deal with toxic people is one thing, but applying it in real life is where the real strength lies. Let's keep going. Number 2, forgive but don't forget. Most people misunderstand forgiveness. They think it means excusing someone's behavior, letting them back into your life, pretending the betrayal never happened. But true forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of resentment, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Seneca once said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Think about that. The pain they caused you was temporary, but holding on to anger? That's a wound you keep reopening over and over again. And who suffers the most? You do. But here's the catch. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. In fact, forgetting is dangerous. If someone betrays you once, it's on them. If they betray you twice, it's on you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That means you don't let their actions turn you bitter. You don't let their toxicity harden you. But you also don't give them another chance to hurt you. I learned this lesson the hard way. Years ago, I had a friend I trusted deeply. Let's call him Alex. I shared something personal with him, something I thought would stay between us. But within a week, I found out he had twisted my words and spread lies behind my back. I was furious, not just at Alex, but at myself. I had let him in. I had given him my trust. And now, every time I thought about what he did, it consumed me. For months, I carried that resentment. It affected my mood, my relationships, my peace of mind. Until one day, I came across a quote. "Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die." That hit me. Alex had moved on with his life. Meanwhile, I was still holding on to the anger, like it would somehow fix what happened. So I decided to forgive. But not in the way most people think. I didn't call him. I didn't offer him a second chance. I simply let go of the anger in my own heart. Not for his sake, but for mine. But here's the important part. I never forgot what he did. That betrayal taught me something valuable. It showed me who I could trust and who I couldn't. It made me wiser, stronger, more careful about who I let into my life. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. Forgetting, however, is a disservice to your growth. So how do you apply this? If someone has hurt you, stop letting their actions control your emotions. Stop replaying the past in your head. Decide right now that you're done carrying that weight. But also decide that you won't make the same mistake again. Keep the lesson, keep the wisdom, and move forward with clarity. Because when you forgive, you let go of the pain. And when you don't forget, you protect yourself from ever feeling it again. Now let's talk about boundaries. Because knowing how to deal with toxic people isn't just about handling them in the moment. It's about making sure they don't have access to you in the first place. Number 3, limit their access quietly. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Toxic people thrive on your energy, your time, your attention, your emotional responses. The more access you give them, the more power they have. But here's the key. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to explain. You simply limit their access quietly. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, stop debating with toxic people. Stop justifying yourself. Stop expecting them to change. Instead, focus on protecting your own peace. Most people think setting boundaries means big confrontations, dramatic speeches, cutting people off completely. But real boundaries, they're subtle, effective, and often they go unnoticed. I used to be a people pleaser. If someone needed my time, I gave it. If they drained my energy, I made excuses for them. But one day, after yet another exhausting conversation with someone who only called to complain, I realized something. Not everyone deserves unrestricted access to me. So I made a quiet shift. I stopped answering every call. I took longer to respond to messages. I kept conversations brief. I didn't announce it. I didn't explain it. And you know what happened? They started pulling away on their own. That's the power of quiet boundaries. Toxic people don't like relationships where they can't control the dynamic. They feed on your reactions, your emotional labor. When you stop feeding them, they lose interest. Seneca put it this way: associate only with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. This doesn't mean you have to cut people off completely. Sometimes it's about creating layers. The people who uplift you, keep them close. The ones who drain you, move them further out. A friend who only calls to vent but never listens, start responding with, "That sounds tough. What do you think you'll do about it?" Watch how quickly they stop coming to you. A family member who always criticizes you. Stop sharing details about your life. Let them talk, but don't engage. Their disapproval loses power when they don't have the full story. A co-worker who gossips and stirs up drama. When they say, "You won't believe what so-and-so did," reply with, "Oh, I'm not really into office drama," and walk away. These are quiet boundaries. No confrontation, no need for explanations, just simple, consistent actions that protect your peace. And here's the best part. When you start valuing yourself, the right people will respect it. The wrong ones will either shape up or walk away. Epictetus said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." Toxic people want you to react. They want you to fight, to explain, to justify. Don't give them that power. Instead, take control of your access list. Decide who gets a front row seat, who stays in the background, and who doesn't get in at all. Because how to deal with toxic people isn't about changing them. It's about deciding who you let into your world and how much of you they get to see. Now, let's take it a step further. Because sometimes limiting access isn't enough. Sometimes the best response is humor. Let's talk about how to disarm toxic people without even trying. Number 4. Use humor to disarm them. Toxic people thrive on drama. They want conflict. They feed on your frustration. So what happens when you don't take them seriously? When you smile instead of getting angry? When you turn their negativity into something laughable? They lose their power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always have the option of having no opinion." That means you don't have to take every insult personally. You don't have to engage in every argument. You don't have to give them the reaction they want. Instead, you use humor to disarm them. I remember working with someone who always had something negative to say. They'd criticize everything: people's work, their outfits, even how they drank their coffee. One day they sneered at me in front of everyone. "Wow, your desk looks like a tornado hit it. How do you even find anything in that mess?" I could have defended myself. I could have gotten annoyed. Instead, I shrugged and said, "It's called creative chaos." Einstein's desk was messier than mine. So clearly, I'm on track for genius. The group laughed. The moment passed. And guess what? That person never made another comment about my desk again. That's the power of humor. It flips the script. It turns an attack into a joke. It keeps you in control. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of the time, toxic people are just looking for a reaction. They want to see you upset. They want to drag you down to their level. But when you laugh, when you stay unshaken, it frustrates them more than any argument ever could. Here's how you can apply this. If someone keeps interrupting you, smile and say, "Wow, I didn't realize we were playing tag team talking. Your turn's over. It's mine now." If someone tries to guilt trip you with, "Oh, I guess you're too busy for me now," respond with, "Yep, I'm auditioning for the role of terrible friend and it looks like I'm nailing it." If a toxic coworker always gossips and says, "Did you hear what happened with so-and-so?" just reply with, "Nope, but I bet it's none of my business." Then walk away. Humor doesn't mean you dismiss real problems. It means you refuse to let toxic people control your emotions. It means you choose to stay light, to stay in control, to not let them pull you into negativity. And here's the best part. When you stop reacting emotionally, they stop targeting you. Epictetus put it perfectly. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. So next time a toxic person tries to get under your skin, try this. Don't argue. Don't explain. Just smile and let your peace be the thing that annoys them most. Now let's take this a step further, because sometimes humor isn't enough. Sometimes the smartest move is to walk away completely. Let's talk about knowing when to leave and why it's one of the most powerful decisions you'll ever make. Number 5, know when to walk away. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Some people aren't worth convincing. Some relationships aren't worth saving. The hardest truth about how to deal with toxic people is this. Sometimes the best thing you can do is leave. But leaving isn't just about walking away physically. It's about emotionally detaching. It's about no longer letting someone's negativity control your mind, your energy, your life. Marcus Aurelius said, "Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been." In other words, the real power toxic people have isn't in their words or actions. It's in the access you give them to your emotions. And when you decide to walk away, you take that power back. I had a friend who was the life of every party, but a nightmare in private. Every conversation revolved around their problems, their needs, their drama. If I ever shared my struggles, they either dismissed them or turned them into a competition. At first, I told myself they didn't mean it, that they were just going through a tough time. But then the years passed, and nothing changed. The breaking point came when I faced a personal crisis and reached out for support. Their response? "That sounds rough, but I've got my own problems to deal with." That's when it hit me. This wasn't a friendship. This was a one-sided transaction. So I made a choice. I didn't announce it. I didn't start a fight. I simply stopped reaching out. I stopped making myself available. I let the relationship fade because I realized something important. Toxic people don't leave your life willingly. You have to walk away first. Seneca put it this way: you must withdraw yourself from the unnecessary things which disturb you. And yes, sometimes walking away means distancing yourself from people society expects you to stay connected to. Friends, co-workers, even family. But here's the thing. Blood ties don't excuse toxicity. Years of friendship don't justify mistreatment. Loyalty doesn't mean sacrificing your own peace. Walking away isn't about being cold or cruel. It's about choosing yourself. It's about recognizing that you deserve relationships that uplift you, not ones that drain you. So how do you know when it's time to walk away? If a relationship consistently makes you feel worse instead of better. If you're always the one giving, but never receiving. If the thought of being around them fills you with anxiety or exhaustion, that's your answer. And when you do walk away, don't look back. Don't second guess. Don't let guilt pull you back into something you already know is unhealthy. Because when you finally step away from toxic people, something incredible happens. You free up space. Space for people who actually care. Space for relationships that energize you. Space for peace. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And that includes people who refuse to change. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. You don't need their permission to walk away. You don't need their approval. You just need to decide that your peace is worth more than their chaos. Now, let's go even deeper. Because once you remove toxic people from your life, you need to replace them with the right people. People who uplift you, who support you, who remind you of your own strength. Let's talk about how to surround yourself with uplifting people and why it's the key to building a life free from toxicity. Number 6. Surround yourself with uplifting people. Once you remove toxic people from your life, you need to fill that space with something better. Because here's the truth. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, people who complain, criticize, and bring you down, eventually their energy will become yours. But if you surround yourself with people who uplift, challenge, and inspire you, you'll rise to their level. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." That's the secret. The right people don't just make you feel good, they make you better. I learned this firsthand. There was a time when my circle was filled with toxic relationships. People who drained me. People who only reached out when they needed something. People who subtly undermined my goals instead of supporting them. But one day, I met someone different. A colleague who radiated positivity. Instead of gossiping, they spoke about ideas. Instead of complaining, they looked for solutions. Instead of dragging people down, they lifted them up. And here's what shocked me. Their encouragement felt unfamiliar. I had become so used to backhanded compliments and passive-aggressive comments that genuine support almost felt strange. That's when I realized something. I had been settling for friendships that didn't challenge me, settling for relationships that didn't inspire me. So I made a change. I started seeking out people who made me feel lighter after spending time with them, people who encouraged me, people who challenged me to think bigger. And over time, something incredible happened. My mindset shifted, my energy changed, my confidence grew. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And the quality of your thoughts is shaped by the people around you." So here's how you can apply this today. Audit your circle. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel drained or inspired? Do you feel small or empowered? Seek out growth-minded people. Look for those who push you to be better. Mentors, friends who support your ambitions, people who see your potential before you do. Be the person you want to attract. If you want uplifting people in your life, start by being one yourself. Support others. Celebrate their wins. Encourage their growth. Because here's the reality. Toxic people convince you that negativity is normal. Uplifting people remind you that it's not. And when you start surrounding yourself with the right people, something incredible happens. Toxicity no longer has a place in your life. Epictetus put it best. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. So ask yourself, who are you allowing into your life? Are they lifting you up or holding you back? Because the people around you don't just influence your life, they shape who you become. Now let's take this a step further, because once you've built a strong circle, there's one more thing you need to master: how to protect your peace from toxic people without even engaging. Let's talk about why refusing to play their games is one of the most powerful strategies you can use. Number 7. Stay focused on your purpose. Toxic people are distractions. They pull you into their chaos, their drama, their endless problems. And if you're not careful, you'll spend more time reacting to their negativity than working on your own goals. That's why the most powerful thing you can do is stay focused on your purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That means your energy should go into what you can control, your growth, your progress, your purpose, not into people who drain you. Toxic individuals don't just waste your time, they waste your potential. Every time you get caught in their web of negativity, you lose focus on what actually matters, your ambitions, your goals, your peace. I once had a co-worker who thrived on gossip and office drama. Every day, they would try to pull me into pointless discussions about who said what, who was annoying, who was failing. And at first, I engaged. I listened. I let myself get distracted. But then I realized something. Every minute I spent on their nonsense was a minute I wasn't spending on my own work, my own success, my own future. So I stopped. I set a simple rule for myself. If it doesn't serve my purpose, I don't give it my energy. The next time they came to me with gossip, I responded with, "Oh, I'm really focused on this project right now. I don't have time for that." They tried again. I gave the same answer. And over time, they stopped coming to me. That's the power of focus. When you refuse to be distracted, toxic people lose their grip on you. Seneca put it this way: "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And nothing wastes time more than letting the wrong people pull you away from your path. So here's how you can apply this today. Get clear on your purpose. Write down what actually matters to you. Your goals, your priorities, your vision for the future. Recognize distractions. Pay attention to who or what consistently pulls you away from those goals. Learn to say no. Not every conversation deserves your attention. Not every argument is worth your energy. Choose where you invest your time. Because at the end of the day, you have two choices. You can spend your life reacting to toxic people, or you can spend it building something meaningful. And when you stay locked in on your purpose, something incredible happens. Toxic people stop mattering. Their opinions, their drama, their negativity, it all fades into the background. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters." Meaning, you don't need to know every detail of the latest gossip. You don't need to engage in every petty debate. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to keep moving forward. So ask yourself, what is pulling you away from your purpose? And more importantly, are you ready to let it go? Because once you do, you'll find something even greater: peace. And that brings us to our next lesson. Why refusing to engage in their games is one of the most powerful things you can do. Number 8. Avoid gossiping about them. Toxic people love attention, even if it's negative. The more you talk about them, the more power you give them over your mind and emotions. And here's the hard truth. Gossiping about toxic people makes you part of the problem. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That means if you want to rise above toxicity, you can't engage in it. Even when it feels justified, even when you're frustrated, even when venting seems like the only way to release your anger. Because here's what happens when you gossip about a toxic person. You keep their presence alive in your mind. Instead of moving on, you stay emotionally tied to them. You waste energy focusing on them instead of your own growth. You risk becoming toxic yourself, spreading negativity instead of breaking free from it. I learned this the hard way. I once worked with someone who was manipulative, passive-aggressive, and always stirring up drama. A few of us would vent about them at lunch, sharing stories, complaining, rolling our eyes. At first, it felt like camaraderie, like we were supporting each other. But over time, I noticed something. Talking about them didn't make me feel better. It made me feel worse. It kept me angry. It kept me focused on them instead of my work. And worse, they somehow always found out what was said, twisting it to make themselves look like the victim. That's when I realized the best way to remove a toxic person's influence isn't to talk about them. It's to make them irrelevant. Epictetus put it simply, to be angry at something means you've forgotten that everything happens as it must, and that it is up to you to make the best of it. So how do you stop yourself from gossiping about toxic people? Vent productively. If you need to express your frustration, do it privately. Write in a journal. Talk to a trusted mentor. But don't spread negativity just for the sake of it. Shift the conversation. The next time someone starts gossiping about a toxic person, redirect. Say, let's not waste our energy on them. What's something positive happening in your life? Focus on solutions, not complaints. Instead of discussing how awful they are, think about how you can handle them better. Turn your frustration into action. Because here's the thing, toxic people thrive on chaos. They want to occupy your mind. They want to control your emotions. And every time you talk about them, you're giving them exactly what they want. Seneca said, better to trip with the feet than with the tongue, meaning, it's better to walk away silently than to engage in words that keep you stuck in negativity. So ask yourself, is talking about them helping you move forward? Or is it keeping you tied to their toxicity? Because real power isn't in exposing toxic people, it's in refusing to let them take up space in your life. And that brings us to the final lesson, how to fully reclaim your peace and power by mastering your response to toxicity. Toxic people will always exist, but their power over you, that's a choice. In this video, we explored how to deal with toxic people using Stoic philosophy, not by fighting them, not by trying to change them, but by mastering your own response. We talked about shifting your mindset, understanding that toxic people don't control you, your reactions do, learning to forgive but never forgetting the lesson, quietly limiting their access without confrontation, using humor to disarm them, knowing when to walk away, surrounding yourself with uplifting people, staying focused on your purpose, and, perhaps most importantly, refusing to engage in gossip that keeps their influence alive. All of these strategies have one thing in common: they put you back in control. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the core message of Stoicism. You don't need to control toxic people. You just need to control how much space they take in your mind and your life. So here's your challenge. Starting today, apply just one of these lessons. Maybe it's setting a quiet boundary. Maybe it's choosing not to react. Maybe it's simply walking away from a conversation that drains you. Small actions lead to big changes. And the moment you stop letting toxic people dictate your emotions, you reclaim your peace. If this video gave you a new perspective, hit like and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom from Stoic teachings today. And let's keep this conversation going. Drop a comment below. What's one strategy you use to handle toxic people? Let's learn from each other. You have the power, you always have. Now go claim it.